Hello and welcome back to the channel today. In today's video, as we're approaching the end of the year and we're coming up to the festive season, I thought I would spend a little bit of time going through some of the most favourite images that I've took in the last 12 months. So what I'll do is I'll just spend a few moments going through them, and I'll see you in a moment. This video, obviously, over the last 12 months I've done a few photography trips, but as many of you know, it's been quite a crazy year for all of us, including us photographers. We've not had the opportunity to go out and shoot as much as we'd like to do, go on those fantastic trips that we always have planned, those following holidays. So in this video, I thought what I'd do is I've picked 5 of my favourite images that I've took over the last 12 months, and I thought I'd just go through them all and show the images, show you the thinking and the background of how I took them images, and just and just review what I've took over the last 12 months. This first photo that I took here was took in the middle of January at the beginning of the year on the side of the lake, side of Lake Windermere, at the top of Lake Windermere near Waterhead Pier, just before you get to go into Ambleside. I had planned a trip a couple of months before to go to Ambleside in January, and I was quite lucky in the fact that there was quite a lot of cheap bargains and things going on at the time to encourage people to visit the Lake District in January, because I think a lot of people after Christmas, because of the excesses in Christmas and spending the amount of money that we do over the festive period, they were trying to encourage people to go and visit the Lake District. So I took the opportunity to go on my very first trip to the Lake District in January. Now, a lot of people may think that I wasn't, that wasn't my first trip, but obviously it is. It was my very first photographic trip I'd ever took to the Lake District. I don't even think I've been there as a child or as visiting. I don't ever remember going up to that far. I think as kids we only ever got as far as Blackpool, really. We were a family that were more for going and enjoying the fun fair and things like that, rather than going climbing the hills. So I was very excited for this first trip to the Lake District, and it's a place that I've wanted to go for a while and photograph quite an opportunity, but it's a bit of a difficult place to get to, for me especially. So this trip was, I was very excited over Christmas and New Year to get out and go and do this trip. And this first image, I was lucky enough that when I was travelling up the day before, as I got further and further in the Lake District from going out from Preston into the Lake District, it was going foggier and foggier and foggier, and I had these fears in my head to say, well, am I going to get any shots? Am I going to get anything, or am I just going to be greeted with thick fog where I won't be able to see anything? And I was lucky in the fact that I woke up that morning, and I'd originally intended to go and climb up Lothrig Fell, but at the time, because the fog was so dense, you literally couldn't see you for 6 foot in front of you. So climbing fells in that weather, especially when you're an inexperienced climber like myself, it would have been a silly thing to do. So I decided to not go and climb up the fells, but stay very low down where the fog wasn't quite as thick. And I actually made a vlog about this, which I'll post in the description. You can go back and watch it and show you my thinking behind this image. But one of the things I really like this image is how simple it is. You've got the ducks in the foreground, providing a little bit of foreground interest, and then the fog actually took away a lot of the messiness. I think when you're doing woodland, I think it can be quite chaotic, and I think fog does provide a really good balance of removing the chaos from woodland. So I really enjoyed this, because the fog was so thick and low, it actually took away some of the chaos, and it actually provided a little bit of mystery and a little bit of ambience to the image. And the two little ducks, there was about 4 or 5 ducks that were swimming around at the time in front of me, and I waited patiently for probably about half an hour for these ducks to swim perfectly in front of this tree. And when I saw this tree, I thought, oh, it's such a lovely shape, and it's such a quirky tree. So when the ducks swam in front of it, I think it made a very it added a little bit of interest to the front of it, because I think it might have been a bit of a boring image without those ducks in. And because of the fog, and it was basically, there was no other way to go apart from black and white, essentially, because it was a very black and white, a very monotone image anyway, because of all the fog and the I think because we was in the middle of January, there was no leaves on the trees, and it was very brown anyway, and very very aiming towards black and white. So that's the reason why I went to black and white with this image. And I think it's a very beautiful image, and it's an image that I'm very happy with. This was an image that I took, I think it was around about July, August time. It was only 10 minutes around the corner from where I live, and it was one August evening, when the nights were drawing out and we were getting, we had quite late evenings, and it was just one day where I'd been stuck in the house working from home all week, and I just really needed to get out and go and do some photography. And I'm quite lucky in the fact that even though I live in a very urban area, I'm surrounded by lots of countryside, so I can walk 10 minutes down the road and be in the middle of the countryside, and be in a situation like this. And I noticed a lot of these I think the cornfields or wheat fields around where I live, and they were still quite green at this time. You hadn't got that that golden colour of wheat that is coming up to harvesting time. And these lines on this image was really, I think it was great that it really drew on you in. And right in the distance above the leading lines, the sun was breaking through the clouds. It was a very quite a overcast day, but you had a lot of moon in the clouds, and there was some rays breaking through the sky at the time, and I wanted to get this perfect sun breaking the clouds with these rays. And unfortunately the rays were just a little bit too far to the right of where I was shooting, but I did manage to capture some of them. And I think it's a very simple composition in the fact that the leading lines lead you into the moody sky, and it's literally I was stood on the edge of a field near to where I live, nowhere exciting and nowhere special, but it's a place that I've walked past many times, and I thought these leading lines were actually making a perfect focal point for the image to send you into the distance. And these leading lines are a great thing to do that. So this is why I really like this image, because it's simple, and it's literally on my doorstep, so you don't have to go travelling miles away to capture this these beautiful images. So for this third image, I was really lucky with this image. When we came out of the first original lockdown in say June, July time, I quite took a chance in booking 2 trips in Lake District, hoping we wasn't going to be locked down again and I'll have to cancel the trips. So I booked a trip in September and October, and luckily the October trip was a week before we actually went back into lockdown, so I timed it quite right. But this image was taken in mid-September I was on the top of Lake Derwent, just in a place called Crow Park in Keswick, just right at the top of Derwent Water. And Keswick is a place that I've wanted to visit for quite a while, and I've even had trips booked that I've had to cancel before to get to Keswick. So Keswick's one of those places that I've wanted to visit for ages, but was a bit of a place that eluded me quite a lot. So this image, I was lucky in the fact that I'd literally only just got into Keswick about a couple of hours before, dropped my things off at the place where I was staying, decided to go and get a bite to eat and go and sit in Crow Park and watch the sun go down and just just relax and enjoy myself and take in the ambience of being in the Lake District for my first night. And then as I was just sat there and relaxing, was noticing that the sky was getting more and more pinker and the colours really come out, so it was like a mad rush to get the camera out, and I was greeted with this spectacular purpley sunset. It was absolutely fantastic to watch, and it was just as the sun was going down further and further, it was getting more and more colour in the sky. So it was an absolutely fantastic experience, and I'm so glad that I decided to do that and decided to get my camera out. This was one trip that I decided not to vlog on. I normally go on trips to Lake District to actually vlog, to make a couple of vlogs over 3 days, and I'd got to a point in, say, July, August time, where I just got to a point where I didn't want to go out and do any photography. I don't know whether it was an effect of the lockdown that were happening, or I was just being completely and utterly bored with shooting within 10 miles of where I live, because of all the restrictions mean that we couldn't travel. I really took this trip to Keswick and Derwent Water as a little bit of a basically a trip to sort of get that passion and enthusiasm back for photography, and this weekend really did that. So I spent 3 days just pure photography, just taking photographs for 3 days, no vlogging, no worrying about making videos and setting video cameras up, because as much as I love vlogging can sometimes get in the way of making videos. All I wanted to do was just concentrate on photography and get that passion and enthusiasm back for making videos, and I spent 3 days lovely in Derwent Water, and it was a really fantastic place to go, and a place that I've really wanted to visit for quite a long time. So for this image, it's the quite cliche shot of the Lake District with the rock in the foreground and obviously the fells of the hills behind it. But I think it was a shot that really suited this style of image. There was a beautiful sunset coming down, and the rock, added a little bit of foreground interest. So it's an image that I'm massively happy with. It was a difficult image to take because of the tonal difference between the rock and the sky. It was trying to keep structure and enough interest in the foreground, in the background as well, because you was losing, because of the difference between the sky, the middle ground and the rock. The middle ground was becoming very dark, and you're struggling to make out what it was, but I think it provides enough of a silhouette to actually show you what it is. and that's why I think it works. And it's a truly beautiful image, and it has a lot of it also has a lot of personal things for me, really, because of the time I went and the day I went, and it was my first ever day in Keswick in the Lake District, so it was also a great memory of that day. And it's a sunset that I'll never forget. It was beautiful, it was truly magnificent. This next shot was taken on my trip that I mentioned before to Ambleside in October time-ish. After visiting that area, Windermere and Ambleside, in January, I'd always wanted to go back at some point, and I'd envisioned to go back, maybe May, June time of this year, but obviously because of all the goings on and things that we've had over the last 12 months, this was obviously put back to October time of this year, and I had a lot of time off work, so I needed to use them holidays, and I booked a trip to Ambleside, and I stayed around the Waterhead Pier, which is at the top of Lake Windermere. It was a day of I made a video of it, of a day of two halves. I finally managed to get up Lothric Fell, which is a place that I wanted to visit in earlier on in the year, and when I started walking up at about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, we were getting some really nice light and some clouds and some really nice sky. And as I obviously was walking up, I took my time and found my way, because it's a place that I've never gone up before, so I didn't want to get lost or go the wrong way, or end up somewhere where I really shouldn't have been. So obviously the first part of that video was me shooting with a long lens and going up the first part of Lothric Fell. But I got to the top of Lothric Fell, and it was a very bright sunny day with complete blue skies, and I didn't quite find anything further that I really wanted to shoot. The sun was streaming, and it was just a difficult shoot. It was everything. I was getting lens flare and everything, so I didn't really shoot anything further that point. So I decided to go back down Lothric Fell, go and get some lunch, and then just restock. And what I did was obviously, as I was driving into Ambleside, I noticed these set of trees on the edge of Lake Windermere, just down the road from where I was staying. And there was also a bench at the top of this hill that I really wanted to shoot. So I decided to go out for sunset and go and shoot these trees and this bench. Unfortunately, when I was setting up a shot for the bench, a few people come and sat on the bench, and they were moving about, so it was difficult to shoot the bench. So I noticed this shot between where it was framing the fells in the distance over Lake Windermere, were being framed by the trees. And I've later been told on one of the photographs, one of the guys that goes on the Let's Create group, Micah, who's a veteran and goes to the Lake District all the time, informed me that they're the Langdale Pikes, and obviously having studied maps and things like that, I can probably understand, I can probably see that they are, because of the distinctive shape, and they're very recognisable for anybody who knows the Lake District very well. As I said, I've only done maybe 3 trips to the Lake District now, so the Lake District is very new to me, so picking out different places is a challenge, and something that I'm gonna, I will learn over the next few years as I make more and more visits to the Lake District. But I actually loved how the trees framed this image. It made a nice image, but the problem was having with this image, and as I explained in the videos and the later video that I did afterwards showing you how I created this image, it was a real difficult image to take, because the sky and the foreground and the midground were completely different in terms of exposure. It was difficult to get the right exposure, so I used an HDR image and blended them together in Photoshop, which gave me best of both worlds in the fact that I got the background and the fells perfectly exposed, and then the front ground giving a bit of foreground interest. And I chose to actually do a little bit of split toning on this. It's a very blue image when I first took it, and I feel as though the split tone has given it a little bit more interest and a little bit more took away a bit of the blueness, and it's a beautiful image, and it's an image that will soon be on my wall. I think looking at images, it's not only the physical print, but it's also the memories that you have of visiting that area and going doing that, taking that shot that's important as looking at the photo as well. So it's a beautiful image, and an image I'm very, very proud of. So this final image is an image that I took in a local woodland that's literally 10 minutes down the road from me. This woodland has always had fond memories for me, because it's a place that I spent a lot of time in my childhood, swinging through trees and things like that. So it's a place that I always like to visit to photograph quite often. But what was lucky about this image is that I was taking a photograph basically 90 degrees to this image of a set of trees, and this day it was early in the morning, quite late in the year, in November, and obviously with the light being very low, it was casting quite nice shadows through the trees and the foliage. We still had quite a lot of leaves and a lot of foliage on the trees at the time, so it was casting a lot of good, nice imagery through the trees. It casted a nice bit of light on this tree, and as I turned around I saw this and I thought, wow, that looked great, that. So it's woodland images are always a difficult thing to take. They can be quite chaotic, they can be quite messy, and I think we tend to sway away from a harsh light on imagery, and I think there's two distinctive places where harsh light actually works. Woodland is quite good, and also street photography is quite good. Having harsh light, dark and shadow, and having a person walking into it in an urban environment is an absolutely classic street photography shot, and it works really, really well. But I think the harsh light on this actually worked well. It actually lit up parts of the image, and actually the darker bits, it actually worked well in the fact that it removed the chaos from around the tree. So I thought that this image worked very well in the shadows and the lights, and it lit it up. And it's an image that I'm quite proud of. It's a tree that I find quite special, because I do remember swinging from swings on this tree many moons ago. So I think it's an image that works very well, and it's an image that I'm completely proud of. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little skip through the 5 favourite images that I've took in the last 12 months. I think it's always a good exercise to have a look through the images that you've took over the last 12 months and find it as a little bit of inspiration. It also provides a little bit of confidence on how much your photography has improved if you look at images that you've took say over the last 12 months, because if you're regularly taking photographs, you'll see an improvement from the first image you took that year to the image that you took at the end of that year. So I think it's always important to have a look at your old images to improve yourself and improve your photography. Next week's video, I'm going to do a little bit of a rundown and a little bit of chat over what I've got planned for the next 12 months over the vlog. I do want to say to people that I know I've been doing a lot of vlogs inside my office at the moment, and but it isn't going to be something I'm going to be doing all the time going forward. It's just circumstances, obviously, with the things that are going on at the moment with the lockdowns and the problems that we're having around the world at the moment with us getting out doing photography. So it's been difficult for me to get out and do the normal types of videos that I would normally do outside in the field. So what I'll probably be doing going forward is that I will probably be doing a lot more videos outside in the field interspersed with videos like this in the office. I do want to do a bit more teaching and a little bit more tutorial based imagery, showing you how I process the images and things like that. I think it's something I really enjoy doing. So I just want people to be rest assured that they're not all going to be these types of talking head videos, but I do enjoy doing some of them. So I hope you can join me next week, and obviously because we're coming up to the Christmas period, this is the last video before Christmas. All I want to do is I want to thank everybody for the last 12 months for supporting the channel and all the new subscribers that have come along. I hope you all have a fantastic Christmas and New Year. Enjoy the festive period. I hope you all get your new cameras and your new photography toys through the post, some new lenses or some new camera bag that you've been thinking on, the new goodies from Father Christmas. And hopefully I will see you again next week.